Now it's working. So I have this like mock-up. It's become, it's becoming slowly like a building from the concept art. And I'm gonna go and focus on certain areas. Like there's like a sidewalk, and there's all this structure is just a box right now. And what we do usually is like once we get the form developed, like a mock-up form, then we deal with every single piece separately. So that wall over here, if you see the concept art is a little bit tiny here, but it should be extracted. Basically, I'll press Alt H, and all this piece should be extracted. So I would just select all these faces, and that's the way to do it. So all this, you go mesh. So I'm gonna go mesh, edit mesh, face extract. So now this is a separate piece. And the problem here, Control Shift H, the problem here is that how can I make it look like it's sitting on the ground? So give it some volume. So one thing that you want to do is like go and find images of buildings, close-ups of how they actually transition from you know from like the vertical material to the sidewalk. So maybe what you could do is like uh, to make a transition here, I would just go, let's make this live. I can create like sort of like a trim edge. So this I could just start moving it around. So I can bring the pivot point down here, and then I can select that and slide it on the curve, on the edge of the curve here. So then I can just line it up. And as you notice, that is a slanted, so it's not going to be perfect. So I have to kind of do a little bit of work. What I like to do is like just make things not touch necessarily, but so like this from the ground, I would just raise it for a little bit so I can have a little bit of a shadow underneath. So let me show you what I mean, because I have an image of that. So what I'm trying to say is like this is how like a transition could work. Like if I start making all these stones, then I would like to have this shadow. So the building doesn't look like it's just connected to the ground. So usually what we have are these boxes, and nobody really takes time to consider how all this giant structure is going to sit. So a lot of it is just working at the area, at these kind of areas. And then there's like a cracked piece here. I don't know if you can see it. It's very subtle. Just a cracked piece, so it looks like the corner is a little bit chipped at that particular. And we don't, especially now, we don't want to focus on a lot of damage because we don't have the time. I mean, a lot of it will be just a little here and there, wear and tear. So if you want, you can just take a lot of time for that. So I'm gonna just select these vertices. So make this a little bit smaller. So if I start from here, I can go and select the object, and I'm gonna bevel that. Edit mesh. I'll bevel this piece so I can have a little bit of a highlight. So go to edit mesh, edge, actually components, bevel, and I'm gonna go and do an ups, maybe a fractional. Let's do a 0.1. That is maybe 0.2, something like that. And just the scale of it is good, so I'm gonna commit to that. And now to just tweak it a little bit, I mean, I'm gonna probably duplicate, so I'll have another piece to work on. And to tweak it, I can just select the vertices, move them. I can use the insert edge loop tool, so I can add an edge here, maybe an edge here, and I can just, with very small actions, I can, you know, deform this piece a little bit. Maybe make it thinner in the. So all these little things will add to the realism. Now, if I want to go and say I want to chip an area, just damage an area. So what I could do is go back to my object here. So this is kind of like a very important piece because it's kind of the corner of the building here. Let me just make sure it's lined up with the wall. Okay, so now I'm gonna go down here, press F, and I'm just gonna add detail only on that area. So I'm gonna go and insert an edge loop and sort of isolate this area. So square it out, and I could go and select these faces here and go edit mesh, add divisions, and another one, and then I could go back to object mode, and I think they don't have that tool anymore, that modeling tool.
So George, you aren't touching the wall behind it, so you aren't messing up the topology.
No, this is just additional stuff that I'm doing, so I can actually work with.
They took out the scope geometry tool?
I don't know. Well, there's a sculpting tool. There's sculpting tools here, so I'm gonna use like yeah, I don't know. Do they have the sculpt geometry tool anymore? I don't know. Let me pause the video just to see. I'm like curious.